Welcome to a very belated Christmas episode where I travel back to North Carolina, where the rivers run thick with barbecue sauce and Pepsi reigns supreme over Coke. I took my Yashica, my Bessa L, and I took my Pentax 6.7. Kind of covers most focal distances I'd use, super wide, medium with the Yashica, and then, as rightly should be, glued to the Pentax 6.7 is the 105. So I had most bases covered. This is 23rd of December and we're on the way to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill and stopped by to see some cows on the way, which were pretty cute. It was so cold this day and so windy that we're outside for as little time as possible. We went to get a beer at this quite photogenic little bar in town, followed by, later in the evening, some pickleback shots, which was whiskey followed by pickle juice, which if you haven't tried, definitely needs to be on your list. They go pretty well together. Christmas Eve started pretty hungover, so we tried to cure it with some biscuits from Biscuitville, which kind of did the job. Christmas Day we travelled down to South Carolina to Greenville. Unfortunately, everything was closed, but that was to be expected as it was Christmas, so we just walked around, and it's a nice little town. Here's some sunset pictures of the dollar store, and I think it goes pretty well. The next day, again, I was pretty hungover, so turned to some biscuits and took these photos outside the hotel, which I actually quite like. These were all shot with Kodak 500T on the Yashica T5. Took a walk around Pinehurst with the Pentax 6.7 and some Fuji Pro 400H loaded in there. And I like the way these colours turned out. I think they were quite pastel, classic. I like the way this shot here came out. I think the dead ferns in the background add to a nice soft light look, and they really reflect it perfectly for some good bokeh. On the 28th, we headed down to Fripp Island in South Carolina, where the sunsets were amazing, but the weather turned quite rainy. I also caught one of my favourite shots with a black and white panoramic on the Pentax 6.7, which you'll see later, and I'm pretty proud of. On the way down, we stopped by the fishing areas and caught some of the last of the light while I took some photos of the shrimp boats. And a lot of Forrest Gump was actually filmed down here. Shrimps. Here's some of the shrimps from those boats earlier in the day. They were delicious. Shrimp time. The weather was pretty grim, but nothing someone from the UK is not used to. So we walked around some historic sites and took a few photos. Spanish moss looks awesome, and I love this portrait here. Then we took Charlotte to the beach, where we played with her the next day, and finally the weather changed for some sun. Here I took the Pentax 6.7 and I shot some black and white panoramas. It was expired Fomapan 400, and I kind of wish I shot it at 100, but I decided to shoot it at 200 and push it at stop. It became a little bit grainy, but I still like these photos, and I think they add a good amount of contrast to the image. Charlotte? No, she's fine. I love the paw prints on the fresh sand. It was early morning, so no one else had disturbed it yet. I also shot some Valvia here. This was almost exactly the same time of day, just different angles of the sun, and you can see how it changes. One shot was nice and warm, one shot was kind of green. This shot I absolutely love, I think with that old golf sign, and then this American flag. The Velvia's really pulled out some punchy colours in that. Again, the weather changed for the worse, but still not terrible, and we went out for a bike ride, saw some of Hunting Island, which a lot of Forrest Gumps filmed on, and then cycled back in when the fog started to roll in quite thick. Later in the day, we went to an old fort, which was on the seafront, and here was one of my mistakes I made this trip. I shot black and white, and I pushed it 2 stops, and absolutely nothing came out. It was Rolly Retro 400S, so I don't think the lab made a mistake, but to be safe, I don't think I'll ever shoot that film again. More rain was happening, so I thought I'd shoot some black and white, and I shot the thermopan again at the same speed, and these actually came out pretty cool. It was foggy, and this is one of my favourite photos I took the whole trip. This deer just standing out there, I think is amazing. There's deer littered absolutely all over this island. They're almost a pest. There's always a fear that they're going to jump out in front of you or run at you, which they sometimes do, but I still think it's really unique and awesome to see. As we were flying out of Raleigh back to Budapest, we stayed the night there, explored the city, and also went to a hockey game to finish off the trip. There's no more photos from this point on, so I hope you enjoyed the video. And tune in, subscribe, do what you need to do. See you all soon.